Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Avant Novus live stream. My name is Dan, and today we're going to be making a map in 1 hour. We are going to be doing The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. We're going to make a map of Hyrule. Of course, we're going to base it off of the old Super Nintendo game. And we're also going to change stuff, make it more realistic, make it a little more natural. Just kind of something fun today. It's been a big request for a lot of our people and our audiences here. And we're going to get started. Before I do that, though, really quick, would like to mention that right now, hopefully, in maybe 1 or 2 days, we are releasing 5 of our generic role-playing maps on Steam. On DriveThruRPG. These maps are gigantic. They're 36 inches by 24 inches at 450 DPI. We have one based on a land that's been hit by meteors, another one on ancient deserts or Mars, an island continent based on Australia, some flooded lands, place that was reclaimed by the sea, and everything that's left is just the top of the mountains as islands, and also a campaign map of Venus. We actually took the satellite data from the first probes of Venus and made a map out of those. Those are $5 on DriveThruRPG. We would really like to thank the production team here at Avant Novus for all their help and spell checking and everything else they do to help us get to this. We'd also like to thank ArtRage. They are promoting the show. We are not receiving any monetary compensation in any way from them. We just really like their product. They've reached out to us. Go check them out, ArtRage.com. That's the program we're using. We're going to get started here in a few seconds. We would like to, a couple things. I'm gonna show, before we really get started, my basic setup, how I create paintings, how I get things going, and then we'll get right to this. And the second, someone in the comments had requested that instead of me doing exactly at 7 o'clock, exactly at 6 o'clock and go to exactly 7 o'clock, the timer starts right as when the pen hits the paper. We're going to try that tonight. I kind of feel like it's cheating, but we'll comply. I'm a sucker for peer pressure. And let's go ahead and get started here. This is our canvas right now today for this image is we're looking at, there's a pixel count, and our size is 7 inches by 6 inches at 450 pixels an inch. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the canvas. We're going to set up our canvas, and with ArtRage, it creates, you can choose a large different sections of papers and patterns and a bunch of other stuff. We are not going to use this feature, however, we will come back to it. Okay, first of all, I'm going to take the metallic out of that and the opacity, leaving us a transparent background. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select our canvas color. Our canvas color, if we erase anything with our locked layers, this is the layer that's going to bleed through. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that now. And we are actually going to be using a reference. This is the actual Legend of Zelda map in 8-bit. Let's bring that up to full. One of the features of ArtRage is we have a tracing feature. You just upload it, it fits to the canvas, and we're going to be kind of using this to plan out our map today. Again, mess with opacity. Yep. And our reference point for this is the Legend of Zelda map. We're going to have a look at that. So this is what our map is going to be based off, and we're actually going to use the color samples from this. And we're going to get our dipper tool, and we're going to start on our palette. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Okay, that's our first color. We got that green. Now we have this light green down here. It's a really light green. We're going to get some of this forest colors, and we're going to be using all of these colors to make this map. Because we definitely want this exactly like, well, the colors at least, from Legend of Zelda. Got some really cool really cool colors here. We got some pinks and some maroons. Now, we're not going to add any of these features or like bridges and stuff, but we are going to add as many things as possible. From this distance, you're not going to really see much by way of... Okay, that's actually a good start for our colors. Let's go ahead and shrink this down. Grab this, if I can find it. I'll get it. I'll get it. Alright. There's our reference. We actually don't need that since we're going to be using the tracing, so I'm going to hide that right now. Let's go ahead and bring up the tracing on this. And we're going to try a new technique today, a little bit different than before. With this map, you'll notice it's very squared. All the images and things are squared, so we're going to kind of mix that up a little, but keep the same spirit of it. In order to do that, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to actually color in the entirety. Let's go ahead and close the trace, close our reference, go into our layers, open our layers. Bottom layer, we're going to make the color of the water. In this case, that's going to be this nice dark blue. Okay. If we take out that, there we go. On our next layer, we're going to come in and we're going to go with this green right here. And this layer, we're going to add everything to that. Again, we take the opacity out of our traced image and we can see exactly what that is. Okay, so we are going to initially use, and we'll change this a little as we go, we're going to use our eraser tool. We're going to go to our presets and do an instant edge, come down to about, say about 15%. Zoom in a little, and we are going to start on this map. Let's turn down the opacity. We're actually going to be erasing actually there's another better way to do that. Instead of using the eraser, we're actually going to use a different brush. We're going to go into a level higher. I just remembered, and I just thought of this technique for this because we have been experimenting with doing tapered some very tapered mountain streams, and I want to see if this same technique will work with this map. So what I'm doing is I'm creating, and we've got a little river here. Let's go ahead and let me show you this pen really quick. This is our default pen that we use, and it's a very specific pen that we've been making our rivers with. And the taper on the bottom, that taper bias and that taper setting allows us to create some very, very cool maps. Okay, hold on, I need to go back. Sudden change of plans. I'm totally off script, everybody, and running wild. This allows us to make some rivers. Again, I just looked at the clock and it's 7. We started about 7:08, about 2 minutes ago. We're getting some really cool effects, and I'm using the exact same pen. Again, this is not something rehearsed. I'm just making this up right now for this map. We're actually going to create these bodies of water first, and then after we're done creating these bodies of water, let me get this a little bigger so I don't have to push so hard. We're going to go in, select these, and then erase it from the level layer. We'll get going here. And again, these, what seems like rivers in the game, we're going to use them as the big lakes and other bodies of water to give it the same feel. Make the bridge right there for Hyrule Castle. And again, that's my settings for the brush. Opacity at 100, pressure at 50, aspect ratio at 100. Everything else is pretty much off. And let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Let me probably bump out the mic. Check, check, check. There we go. Turn down the music a little bit. There we go. And here we go. We're just gonna cut these out as fast as possible. Maybe this lake comes over here, kind of disappears over there. Again, this is just a free expression of how I think Hyrule would look from this specific game. Maybe this is all craggy right here. That's fun. Again, we're translating a 16-bit old squarey video game into a realistic map. On top of that, we're developing a kind of a new technique on what we're doing here. Oh, this one's gonna be fun. Maybe there's like a hill by this village. All right, we're now going to use our paint bucket. We are going to, our settings on our presets on this is gap protection. In case there's any holes, we're going to put the tolerance up to 10. Spread, we're going to keep right there. Come in and we are going to fill these. Not like that, because I just realized that I have my spread too high. User error. There we go. And we made sure that pen, we didn't have any anti-alias on it. Okay. Now comes the crazy magic part of this. We're now going to select with our selection tool. Holding down Control, we're going to select all these rivers, all these lakes and stuff. Create a selection on that, hide this layer, come down to our grass layer, and cut a giant hole in that. Okay. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and look at that with the tracing. That's kind of our river formation. A little blocky. So I'm going to just finish up with, we're going to make some kind of variations down here. Let's make sure we're at instant edge. Try not to get this all to we're just going to up the pressure. Alright. Second we're done with this, we're going to really have to hurry because we've got to plan this out a little bit more. Get the drama going on this hour thing. We got till Pacific time 8:05. 8:08. Thank you, chat. If you're joining us on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, welcome to the chat. We are very happy to have you here today. If I don't respond to your comment, please forgive me. But I am focusing like crazy on this. And again, what we're doing here, we're just kind of expanding these rivers a little bit. Let's go up the opacity of that. It's looking good. Okay. Our next part of this, we're going to add mask to the paint. ArtRage is really, the reason I prefer it is that it allows me to not only control color, not only do natural painting, it actually adds the mask of the paint onto the canvas. With this, I'll explain what I'm doing here. The tool, that is not what I'm doing there. Dopey me. This tool I'm using is what we call the tube brush. And the tube brush, the settings are right there. It's pressure to 100, size 500% of 400 psi. It's not psi, dpi. And I'm just blopping down a massive amount of paint and following the contours of this map. There we go, just like that. And not only is it adding a simulated effect of a big glob of oil paints, but this is also adding a layers upon layers. It's actually, if you worked with ZBrush or any 3D modeling program, it's very similar in that you're just throwing down mass paint. We're going to create layers, we're going to create different levels, and we're just going to stack and stack and stack and stack and stack of this. The next part of this is we're going to add another level to this where the mountains are. We're going to come in, select our mountain color. That looks like a good one. Yeah, we'll go here. Up at the top, we'll do these mountains first. We kind of want to keep the color. We don't want to go too nuts with it though. But we're just going to add blobs of paint all over this area to build up the mass. We're going to kind of take some liberties. Up in north, we have these big red rock mountains. And again, we are just plopping down. 1 second here. Thank you, Pinterest. All right. We're just, these red rocks up here, we're just adding a ton of mass. I'm actually taking the stylus itself, and you can hear it. I'm just pressing the tip really quick onto the canvas and just stacking a large amount of paint there. Then down here, we're going to switch to our color. Douse lock, you see that big black? Yeah, we got a lot of mass there. And now we're going to come and just add this big ridge of mountains here. And all I'm doing is I'm just adding mass to this. To simulate the feel of the game itself. Now I remember playing Zelda quite a bit as a kid. Legend of Zelda, I had a friend get a Super Nintendo and it just totally blew my mind. 16-bit graphics, oh my gosh. Still, you know, my reaction was just simply amazed. It still was pretty cool. All right, so we've got our basic landforms right there, just like that. What we're going to do next is we're going to increase the, we're going to kind of smooth out things a little bit, and then we're going to go for the bigger details. To smooth things out, we don't want these, like these lines, you know, when we zoom in, these kind of crazy lines all over the place. We really don't want that. So we're going to smooth that out by our knife tool. Our knife tool, we're going to come in, we're going to change this to 250, and we are going to gently start making little circles with our knife tool. Here is my settings for that knife tool. It's just the generic Harsh Chaos knife tool. That's default in ArtRage, the full version of it. And I'm going to start working on the grasses here. Little tiny swirls. When I come to the mountain, I'm just going to back off a little, because we'll do our mountains here in a second. And that's a little bit modified technique. The tools we're using is just a little Intuos Wacom, however you pronounce it, little tablet. I should check those out. Put them down here. Got pretty much all of my green smoothed out. And as you can see, it's kind of blurring the mountains into it. Let's go ahead and start working on the mountains here a little bit. I'm just going to go in and very lightly, because we want to keep those high points. I'm just doing little circles on these. I'm erring on the side of not losing the texture. But again, it's just a little higher areas there. Then we're going to come in again and add some more detail to this. Just like that. All right. Groovy. Okay, not too shabby, not too shabby at all. We're going to add a little bit more in these higher places on the map. We're going to come in and with our green again, we're going to start using a little bit more texture. And we're going to go in our glitter brush. It just adds a massive amount of pretty much glitter. We're just turning the whole glitter can over and we are just spattering it all over the place. We hit easy dirt, because easy dirt is awesome. Glitter size at full, pressure at full. Gonna come in about, let's get a little higher than that. Let's go about 200. I'm gonna start in the middle here. I'm just gonna add in these hill areas, staying away from the mountains. Just adding, I'm just throwing this on there willy-nilly. This is going to add just kind of a neat little bit of texture. It's going to raise this a little bit. When I'm down near the valleys here, I'm just going to, if you notice, I'm just taking the pen and going from the rivers out into the land like that. And we've definitely played with our technique. We're refining it. It's really cool to watch the videos we did like 2 weeks ago and where we are now, and we're actually getting a lot better at this. Okay, so we've got the texture for our ground there. Now let's go back into we're going to choose that color. And we're now going to do our mountains. We're going to go back to our reference here to do those mountains. And we are going to select, basically again, with the glitter brush, we're going to hit sparse squares. We're going to not make them sparse squares, turn the pressure up to 50%. The glitter size to 100. The size of the pen, though, we're going to keep at 25%. Get a quick look. Going to pull this back till I barely see that. And we are going to start on our first mountains. Actually, let's go a little darker so we can really see the distinction between the two. To do that, we're just going to select our sample, pull down the darkness. I'm just making little squiggly lines. Actually, that could go a little smaller. Smaller is good. Smaller is detail. And we're just going to come here. Got a little hill right there, and it's part of this kind of cool little mountain chain. Let me zip down the opacity here. You guys can kind of see exactly what I'm doing. All my reference comes from Google Earth, a lot of geology. The concept behind these maps is if there was someone with an airship or a satellite or anything like that, or even like with magic or however you want to do it, or throwing a familiar up in the sky, this is what they would see, and they'd make maps like this. They're really like token maps. They didn't have eyes in the sky or anything like that. Okay, we're going to have a look at that. That's actually a very good blend between the two. Now, we are going to ignore the basic climates of like rain shadows, because it would kind of defeat the purpose of this exercise if we didn't. Because there's a large, well, maybe there is, maybe that the rain shadow dumps quite a bit up in that top left corner. Again, I'm still working with my maps. Hello, we've got a lot of chat going on. Let's, one moment, please. See if we can get the chat up. All right. There we go. Hey, guys. I'm not ignoring you, I swear. I'm just kind of focusing on this. Let's turn down this opacity so I can really follow the contours we already made. Because we spent so much time on that first layer, we're getting a lot of very cool things going on, like right here. Again, increasing the mass. Gonna come down here and hit this guy over here. Now this is the light world from Legend of Zelda. Link to the Past. There is a dark world. We might do that another day. Let's go back to our trace. Yeah, we got some right there. Got kind of the hill right here. Again, we're using the same colors from the video game, the exact same colors. So this is going to be kind of weird, but I think we can make it work. I'm really excited about this map. I'd like to thank our people following us on Twitter. This map actually came from them. The name of the person actually escapes me. I'll ask them. I didn't ask them their permission to share their name. I hope they don't mind that I don't. But I always feel it's better to ask permission first than forgiveness later. Alright, let's pull that out. Not bad. Okay, let's come over here and we're going to go on our dark hill here. It's Zipar. There we go. And I'm just going to follow these contours like this in these mountains. I'm just kind of following the actual game image itself, which is kind of fun. It's just right like that. Really high cliffs right there. And down here, we're going to just make this little tiny patch of mountains. There we go. Our music today is provided by the free music from the YouTube library. We definitely think copyright's a very important thing, and YouTube's provided a bunch of music and a bunch of sound effects and other stuff that are free for commercial or private use. I'd like to thank him for that. Check out, just go to YouTube and put commercial-free, royalty-free music in, and you will find the YouTube library directly from YouTube. All right. Okay. We've already got some really cool textures already with what we've done. We're just going to add just a little bit of these mountains down here now since it's more blending in. Again, we got some dark red clay mountains with a lot of silt in here. Okay, let's have a look at where we're at. Okay, not bad, not bad. And here is the image we started with. And this is where we're at. Started with where we're at. Start that. Okay, enough of that nonsense. The next part of this map is we are going to now create, we kind of got this rough texture, and we're going to actually add to that right now. We're going to come in with go back to our eraser and go with a soft erase this time. And we're going to probably bump this up to about, I don't know, 70%. Going to up the pressure to about there, pull out here. And we're now going to, this is going to help us create where the rivers would lie, what topography we have, what texture of the earth is. I'm coming in, let's actually turn that down a little bit. The pressure, kind of back the softness off. I'm going to make these little tiny streamlets. This is where there's erosion. This is where there's been where the ground forms differently. Actually, I'm looking at that, and it's a little... You know what? We're going to go with it. What the heck? We're going to go with that. And then at the same place up here, I'm going to come in. Let's start our big ones first. I'm going to do our big erosion lines first. This is, of course, one of the biggest spots. And I'm just going to willy-nilly throw a nice big erosion line right here. Well, we will be using our textures to kind of deform this and make it look a lot better. That's going to come here. Then we're going to pull from these natural erosion lines into the mountains, into the higher areas. With ArtRage, because the rendering of it is instant time, it uses a pretty cool advanced lighting system. Right now I've got the light in the default place of ArtRage. Just up there up in the top right, excuse me, top left, top stage right. There we go. There we go. And again, kind of keeping this, we're just scraping into the bottom layer. There we go, up into the mountain area. And again, I'm not really being too careful. I'm just having the picture, the canvas kind of talk to me, putting it where I feel, and you know, that comes really naturally. It's when I first got ArtRage, that was one of the biggest things that impressed me. It wasn't I didn't have to worry about filters or adding different alpha channels or noise or combine different layers. It was just boom, what you see is what you got. Very WYSIWYG. It's actually a very fun little program to run. If you have any interest in doing digital art, highly recommend it. We've got demos, not we, but ArtRage has demos. Have had a lot of comments online from the commentary that they like the demos. And again, how's my voice, guys? Can you hear me? I know there was a couple people. We've started with basically, we're just doing this on a very shoestring budget. You know, a little $9 mic off of Amazon, ArtRage, the smallest tablet on the market, but it's allowing us to do some really fun stuff. Okay, and we are throwing down more. Throwing up here, going down here, there we go, just adding some more. We're almost at the halfway point as of this moment, well, in a couple minutes. This map is just flying together like crazy, so we might even be able to go in and maybe, I'm not promising anything at this point, maybe do some towns and villages and stuff like that. That's another technique I'd like to explore with this program. With any art medium, it's very important to, on a daily basis, get in there, get your daily hour in with the media of your choice. You do that, things are just going to fall into your lap with with how your art looks. It's all about those personal studies. Got a comment. I am having a splendid day. How are you? Actually, it's been a very tiring day. We were up all last night to get those maps up to Drive-Thru RPG. We uploaded I think almost 300 gigabytes of map data. And it's kind of scary. It's our biggest first product. It's our big release, and we really hope people like them and use them. We're not expecting, it to go crazy. It'd be nice, but it's just something we offer people at, it's pretty much the same price as anything up there. However, you get, again, shameless plug for my own product, but hey, it's my channel. I do what I want. They're gigantic maps, high resolution. You can scale the crap out of them. if you had the printer and capability, you could print easily 6 to 7 foot maps. Right now what I'm doing with the image is I'm just gouging out the lowest parts of the map. Then I'm going to come in and make a little bit of these side areas. Now, if you notice over here on the color palette, I have something called metallic at 20%. That means all the paint on this, I've used 20% of that is a metallic color. The metallic color, the way it works with ArtRage is that the more of that metallic color is in there, it simulates more light reflecting off of it. So that's how we are getting all these really cool textures. Then I'm back in the mountains. Now the biggest thing that's going to cause erosion on these mountains is going to be our use of the rivers and additional erosion lines. So I'm being very careful and hitting all those right now. Then we'll move, once I'm done with this part, we'll move to the next part of this map, the next process. And that's texturing up everything, going in with our knife, and pretty much going to carve this map out. And once we're done carving, we will be coming in with a texture tool and help redefining the texture. Let me just, let's put another one right there. Again, constantly evolving. All right. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. That's actually really good. Okay, let's go ahead and we've gone back to our harsh chaos brush. We are going to, I'm actually, at this point, I'm going to put my stylus down, as you just heard, and I'm going to use my mouse. And I'm loudly pressing the buttons. I'm moving basically this harsh chaos at 250. Again, that's like 800 pixels. Into the middle of the rivers and lakes, and I'm just clicking. Then you get this really cool little spread. That's basically carving out the chunks of the river. And I'm doing this first because it kind of gives me a feel of the way that all those those big globs of paint have been put down and how they respond to this. It's not too bad. Now I go back down here. And you can instantly see we've got some really crazy hills. I would consider this a local map of the area, not a big, like the big ones we do. But this is a fun little local one. I'm now going to come in at about 100%. And I'm now going to start at the mountains. I'm going to come in, I'm going to zoom in really close, and let's actually go about 150. And I'm going to come with my cursor. This is important. Again, with the mouse. If I hold this down, it's going to look like that. I kind of don't want that because I'll lose all this cool little erosion lines. And actually, I'm having kind of a hard time seeing that, so let's go ahead and we're going to go to another tool. We're going to go to our instant blur. Going to turn the pressure down to about 15%. 15% on softness and on pressure. Increase the size of it to 150. Pick up our stylus once again. And I'm going to go over this. Ooh, that's a little harsh. Let's bring this down to about 9%. And very lightly, I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit this grass area first. If you notice, I'll zoom in. As I'm hitting this grass area, it might be even a little much. Yeah, it's a little much, so we'll Control Z the crap out of that. Move this down to 3%. There we go. We're just passing the blur brush over the green areas. We'll come hit the mountains last. And you already noticed that's picking up the texture a lot more, like over where Hyrule Castle is. A lot more texture. Then we're going to come back down on these. And we're going to start passing. Let me zoom in really close on this. You can see the more pressure I apply to the mountains, I'm getting an instant mountain line and instant elevation and slopes. We'll come back and carve these out a little bit more using all those erosion lines that we did. They look fabulous. Come down here, and on these mountains you can really see the effect. Good. There you go. See, we already have a kind of a fault line. We can always add mountains at any time. Just repeat the process of applying mass, applying texture, retexture, enhance, and just keeping this going. And we've got the form of the mountains and the form of the world pretty much done at this point, and now we're just hitting details. See if there's any other place that I missed. All right, not too bad, not too bad. We'll now go back to our harsh chaos brush, go into 150, and we're going to grab our mouse, and we're going to come, let me show you over here first. We're going to come in the middle of the channels of these erosion lines, and we're just going to lightly click. Okay, and we get, the paint's going to move around, it's going to blend it for us, but as you can see, we are starting to get instant mountains. Now this red rock area, it's really kind of hard to see. We're going to need to go in with we're going to be recoloring quite a bit because it don't look too good right now. And I think with these bigger mountain areas, since this is such a, like, we're really close to this map, I think we're going to maybe be adding some additional texture to this. And again, I'm using my mouse. You can hear I'm using my mouse. You can hear me using the mouse, just going, you know, putting it right in the middle of these erosion lines, clicking once so it just jams that knife in there. There we go. I'm trying to preserve the peaks of those mountains, but as you can see, we're starting to get very realistic. Now right here, I'm actually holding down the mouse and pulling it in. Yeah, that was a mistake. We'll keep it like that. Okay. Let's come down to these mountains here. And again, I'm just going about middle cursor, right smack dab in those erosion lines we did. There we go. It's not bad. Let's come up and finish these mountains before I move on and get distracted by something shiny. This is a little lower mountain, but you can see we've actually got the ridge line right there. Again, I'm zooming very far into this. But you can see every hill, every little valley, every little plateau, anything like that. Our next textures will be able to be hitting the grass area and helping define that a little bit more. Getting back here. I do not plan these, well, I don't. I'll get an image and kind of look at it and say, okay, what do I want to do beforehand? But where I place the mountains, where I place the rivers in one of these tutorial videos, I just go for it. I would, if you're just starting, I definitely wouldn't recommend that. You can try though. That'd be really interesting. I'd love to see some of the things you get. But planning, the more you plan out, the better things are. But again, with ArtRage, it lets you bust out. Using this technique, it lets you bust out a good deal of texture very quickly. Then we'll go in and define these a little bit more. We're going to cut away a little bit more on the mountains, make some more erosion lines. We're going to do rivers next. Once we get this all done, then we'll dig the rivers and then retexture the rivers. All right, let's go up to this bad boy up here. We're just going to hurry and get these done. If there's any place on the map that I'm a little leery of, it's this. Got about 20 minutes left. 15 minutes, you say? Yeah, but the pen didn't hit the paper till Pacific time, 6:05. I told someone I'd do that. If you notice in some of our other videos, by now I'm scrambling. I'm kind of scrambling here. But we definitely need to recolor this area. And in fact, before we go any farther, we're gonna recolor this because it's just really hard to see. So let's pick up our stylus again. We're going to go back, and on these, I'm just actually going to take the tool. I'm just going to follow all these lines. Let's shrink this down to about 125. A little bit smaller. There we go. This is kind of the look I kind of want. It's going to blend that background color that we said the first. It's going to use that shading. And this area in the Zelda game is all hills and valleys and cool stuff like that. So we definitely want to capture that. This area, I'm just spinning my brush in a circle. And I have a cat fighting outside my window. Everyone, our local cat. Little monster. It's not mine, but I appreciate its daily activity of killing anything unpleasant. Again, I'm pulling from the river up into the mountain area. It's creating some really cool little textures. Maybe work on some of those mountains a little bit. There we go. Our high definition videos are, the best place to find those are on YouTube and Twitch. Facebook only allows us to stream at 720p, which is good on phones and stuff, but it's, for some of the detail work we're doing here, it is not the best thing in the universe to do. Okay, see that texture we got? We can go in and just, it's kind of a little contrived. So I'm going to actually focus on these areas down here, kind of smooth them over a little bit more. Hyrule Castle area, we're just going to keep as is because it's splendid. Kind of going to come up here, going to come up in the valleys here, going to come down here. I've been working with ArtRage. It's taken me about 6 years or so. I'm not 100% sure when I got it exactly. But it's taken about 6 years to develop this. Nice thing also about ArtRage is every time I know there was another program that just came out that released a huge update that I am scrambling to learn. Got rid of all my awesome shortcuts on it. Alright, so we've got our basics there, and let's go ahead and come over here and we're going to recolor these mountains. We're going to go to our airbrush pen. Slow flow, up the pressure, reduce the opacity. We're going to come down to about there. Zoom in quite a bit, and I'm just going to hit in between the mountains here. I'm looking for the lighter areas. This is going to help me determine where the rivers flow from these, how everything else looks. The top of the mountains usually are quite, unless it's deserts. Deserts, your mountains are pretty bleached on top. But if there's a lot of flora and fauna, the top of your mountains are going to be a lot darker. But again, that changes between the climate. This is also allowing me to blend this area. Okay, cool. That works. Let's go ahead and look at our reference. Alrighty then. Let's go ahead and do the rivers. Again, this is we're going to get rid of that. This is a technique we just recently developed. It's kind of super scary for me because I really haven't mastered it yet. But we're going to go, first of all, we're going to open another layer. We're going to reduce our pen size to about 8 or 9. And what we want to do is, this is the settings. Okay. And I really need to save this brush. In fact, I'll do that right now. And I want to store the size of this. Okay. I'm going to come in with kind of a really gregarious color. I'm going to start right here in this. Let's start right here in this. Again, we're on the top layer. I'm just going to use, let's go a little more taper length. We want pretty big. Oh, I need to update that. Yeah, I'll fix it later. Okay, moving on, because we don't have much time. Okay, and I'm just drawing where I think the rivers would come through these mountains. With that effect, it gives me a really nice tapered look. I'm also trying really hard to simulate how rivers naturally occur. Hyrule is a very lush land. It's a very green land. That was a mistake. See that? Because the taper bias is it's going to be the widest at the start if it's down to 0% there. And the farther you go into the line, the more of a taper you're going to get. If I set it the other way, it would do just the opposite. Let's say I was taking my taper all the way up here. See that? It ends at the big spot. But I'm currently working out the best way to do that. I've been experimenting with that lately. Getting some really cool results. I've already made up a kind of a random technique already today, so I don't want to jump in to something crazy and new right now. Maybe there's some rivers that go to who knows where up here. Okay, there's just new layer, nothing locked off. We are just focusing on making rivers right now. Actually, let's make a river right down here. That'd be cool. The maps aren't up at Drive-Thru RPG, which is a good thing. I'll explain why. Thanks for checking those out. However, when you're working with Drive-Thru RPG, they actually check all of your content, make sure there's nothing inappropriate for the media that you're making, making sure there's no like scary viruses or anything, since it's mostly digital content. They actually have human beings behind that look at your software, look at what you do, look at the media you've made, and then will actually give you quite a bit of very good feedback on ways you can improve your product, ways you can market it better. And currently we're in that state. But it's that's a cool website. You zip over there and you can actually order full hardback and softback books depending on what you want to do there. Okay, on this river, I'm actually going both sides of it. Okay, there we go. And you can order pretty much anything on that website and have it printed out as a physical copy. Let's actually make that river a lot bigger. We'll come down all the way here. We've got about 12 minutes to get this done. We got plenty of time. Of course, the last few minutes of this are always going to be crazy nut. So let's not put a river there. I like that. Again, we start at the body of water and move up. I'm just following the contours of the land. All that work we did on the bottom here, on the bottom layers, is now showing through. Try not to screw that up either. And again, we're just making a really quick rivers and streams and stuff like that. Maybe that goes off to another far land. When you're doing your own map, it's really fun to kind of think up, and I usually actually have, if I'm doing like a commission or working with someone, I'll keep another layer open and just write a bunch of stuff on there of what happens and where things are going. And we'll make a really cool meandering river that just doesn't know where it's going or what it's doing. Put that right there. Maybe a little offshoot from it. Got 12 minutes to get this done. I'm kind of feel good about cheating today. About doing when the pen hits the paper. That's when the time starts. I did have a request for me to make a very slower map and go really slow and show people exactly the settings I use and give tips and tricks. Yes, the music has stopped. That is not you. It is timed. Since we did a lot of prep today on this map, it's going to end first before down here. All right, not looking too bad there. Okay, we're going to finish these up. We're going to recolor this. Harold Castle really doesn't have, according to the map, doesn't have many rivers. That might be a little too many rivers now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, that might be too many rivers. Oh well. Got a little carried away with the technique. That's okay, we'll call it practice. I'm now going to hide this layer and kind of be able to see exactly where I've gone. I'm going to hit my selection tool, and we are going to select the blank part of these rivers. Just double checking. We're then going to go to tool, is it edit? I always forget where this is. And invert our selection. We're going to now take this, oops, hey. We're going to take this down to the layer with all our paint. We're going to unlock that layer. Unlock the transparency. Once we're in this layer, we're going to hit delete once. And delete again. Hit Control D to unselect. Get rid of the layer we just did, and we have instant rivers everywhere in all the places. To further shore these up, we are going to now we're going to go back to our blur. We're just going to modify the texture here a little bit more. Again, drop this down really low. I'm going to go in these mountain areas, and I'm just going to very gently run my brush over all of these. So we have about 10 minutes left. And I want to do the forests. I'm actually going to do the forest before we color. We have this really cool opacity choice that I want to play with. Actually, let's color first and then do that. Now I'm going to go back to my knife. I'm going to find my harsh chaos at 100%, and I'm going to take my pen, and I'm just, forgetting to lock those down, lock transparency, and I'm just going to grab the pen. I'm going to cut out these rivers. And I'm literally cutting right into the paint. I'm just dragging my pen, kind of controlling it a little bit. As it gets closer to the ends of these, I'm backing off. But I am actually, and then we have the river there, and you can see I'm actually just carving out all the hills, all the plateaus, all the valleys. And those other colors we made, we're going to come in and color the rest of this map. I missed a call. I am so sorry I missed that call. We'll get back to you soon. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. We are not being paid by ArtRage to sing their praises. We haven't sold out. We are definitely our own masters of our own opinion. However, they are promoting our videos. They have been very kind to do that. We thank them for that. I don't think there's a law, to be 100% honest with you. I just want to make sure that I'm disclosing on the up and up exactly what has transpired. Just let people know that they have been helping us on social media to get the word out of kind of what we're doing here. And we do appreciate that. Give credit where it's due. All right, guys, we're doing really good here. Again, let's go ahead and have a look at that. Not too shabby. A little more rivers than I'd like normally. Definitely a lot more rivers. Let's go ahead and start coloring really quick. We're going to go back to our brush, and we're going to start with this green here, and we're going to drag the green. Let's up our opacity a little bit more there. Drag that green up to there. There we go. We're almost at the 5 minute before we need to be done mark. But I'm keeping to near the mountains. I'm kind of running my brush where the mountains start becoming the green areas. I do really think I went nuts on the rivers, but it's a good place to demonstrate that. There's probably someone in the raging at me right now. That's okay. I might not agree with your opinion. I might not accept your opinion, but I respect your opinion. Meaning, I think you have the right to express it. And you'd probably be right on this one, because I notice when we get into brown, there's kind of that cool transition. Got to keep that up. In these higher areas, we got 5 minutes to get this done. So now comes the nat scramble. I'm just following the contours of what we made. Ah! And I absolutely think our production manager, Drew, has asked me to go make a slow one so people can actually see what I'm doing and not have it such a dramatic craziness near the end. I think he's absolutely right. So we'll do that one a little later. I am going to hit these valleys with the green, though, help the definition and the blend. It's starting to look really good. Now I'm going to come in with this brown, and I am on these higher parts. I'm just going to highlight. Let's get maybe a darker brown. Control Z that out of there. Maybe we'll just shift to kind of a yellow. That works. I like that. Add that to their samples. And now we are focusing on the tops of these elevated areas, especially near the mountains. That's going to give us a nice blend. We're pulling that color into the mountains, down into the valleys as such. No, I'm pretty sure we started at, I would love to say we started this at 10 after, but I'm already feeling like I'm cheating, so I know compromise is good. All right, now in these areas I am adding a lot of color because we're getting into a transition between the lowlands and the highlands. Up here I'm going to kind of do the same thing. And big smooths, leaving the tops of the mountains where they are. Coming in here. All right, we're almost out of time. We only got 3 minutes left. Ah! Drama. So much drama. But yeah, I definitely went way too crazy on that technique. I was having really fun with it too. But you can see what a good technique it is. This is a very wet environment. Okay, let's do the forests. But Don, you said, how can you do a forest in 3 minutes? Well, it's easy. First of all, we're going to make another layer. We're going to come down to our sticker spray. We're going to come and put this at 100%, so it's 450 pixels per square inch. Click this down here. You're going to find a really garish color, and on our new layer here, we are going to open this map, and we are going to, why not, we're going to make this 200. I am basically going to use my mouse and just pull color, since we have all this forest right here. Try not to overlap. What this is doing, it's putting a alpha channel imaged on this map. I'm just placing the forests where they appear on the map. Maybe some down here. That's a really big forests. Now that I'm looking at all the trees and stuff, that's probably going to work. Let's go ahead and come down here. You can see where all the forests have been placed. We're going to zip this down to 100, and we're just going to add some itty bitty trees here and there. And yeah, I'm just throwing it down maybe by some rivers. I've put a dither on this so it rotates kind of funky. I don't even care that I'm crossing over rivers. I'll show you why. Same technique we used previously. Maybe another little tree there. We're going to now hide that layer, hide this bottom layer, click on the layer with our landforms. We're going to get our selection tool, select the transparent image. Hold down Control to select all of them at one go. Double check. This is the only thing about that technique I don't like, is we're getting a little bit of a, it's really hard on some of these rivers, like down here. It's with taper. It's kind of hard to do this part of the technique with that, but that's okay. So we come to this, with that selection, hit delete. We're at 808. Gonna come here, grab a nice dark green, go back to this, put it at 250, and run my brush with the transparency locked, and bang, instant forests. It's definitely been an hour since my family just got home. Doing out Halloween shopping, really excited for that. Alright, it is now officially time. Let's go ahead and we'll open this up. I'll stop doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Hyrule. However, one quick little thing, I'm going to take the opacity of these forests down, let's say by 50, so we can actually really see inside those textures and layers. Alright, not too bad. Yeah, I cheated there. I can't help it. But here we have Hyrule from The Legend of Zelda, with so many rivers. It's now 8:09, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming in. Drop by our website at avantnovus.com. Check out ArtRage at artrage.com. We would like, I'll be posting this in the comments on Twitter, on Facebook, and all that. But that turned out well. I will be taking, you know what, you're here. I might as well just do this right now. I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to cheat horribly. Bad llama. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take just a white. I'm just going to run it like in these areas, behind the rivers and stuff like that. This is just one of the finishing things you can do. We were successful, but it's just another technique you can run with. Again, for some reason my techniques all involve just flinging paint everywhere. Once I got those, I'll just go into, again, my harsh chaos. Start in the middle of the lakes. Do my happy circles. Bob Ross might have his happy trees, but I'm my happy circles. That's just going to help us with those rivers and everything else, just to kind of break up stuff and show a little bit depth. But okay, there we go. Hi, roll, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for dropping by. My name's Dan. Let's go to this. Again, thank you for dropping by. My name's Dan. It's been a pleasure to draw with you. Please check out our maps. Drive-through RPG. We have 5 of them, $5 a piece. Each map comes with 4 different style maps. You're basically paying for 1 map, getting 4 styles in Atlas. Thank you again for coming in. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. If you liked, if you didn't like it, whine, moans, complains, pleas for mercy. I make it a point to try to answer everything everybody posts. If I miss you, I am very sorry. In the meantime, have fun. I hope you do some great projects, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for coming in. Bye-bye.